The courtroom was silent, until a young woman's laughter broke through the air. It wasn't a laugh of nervousness, or even misunderstanding. It was mockery. Standing in front of the judge, in a neatly pressed uniform, was Sergeant Michael Hayes, a tomb guard from Arlington National Cemetery. The tomb of the unknown soldier was his post, his duty, his life's honor. And today, he was testifying in a small but significant case involving public disturbance near the memorial. The woman, Rebecca Lang, had been charged with disorderly conduct after mocking and shouting at the guards during a solemn changing of the guard ceremony. Her laughter had echoed through the sacred grounds, disrupting the silence that was meant to honor America's fallen heroes. Now, as Michael spoke quietly about what happened that day, Rebecca rolled her eyes and whispered to her lawyer, loud enough for everyone to hear, "He's just a man walking back and forth with a gun. What's so sacred about that?" A wave of discomfort spread through the courtroom. The judge glanced sharply at her, but Michael didn't flinch. He stood tall, shoulders squared, eyes focused, the same way he did every day at the tomb. But deep down, something stirred in him. Not anger, sorrow. He took a deep breath before speaking again, his voice calm but heavy with emotion. "Your Honor, with permission, I'd like to tell the court what we do, and why." The judge nodded. Michael turned slightly toward Rebecca. "Ma'am, the tomb of the unknown soldier isn't just a monument. It represents every service member who never made it home. Every mother who never got to say goodbye. Every name carved into stone because there was no one left to remember the face." Rebecca looked away, unimpressed. Michael continued, "I've stood watch in the freezing rain, in storms that could split trees, and under the scorching summer sun. We never move, we never break, and we never complain, because the men we guard didn't have that choice." He paused, his voice tightening. "One of those men was my brother." The room fell silent. Michael's eyes softened. "He went missing in Afghanistan 12 years ago. They never found his body. My mother used to visit Arlington every week, just to sit near the tomb. She said she felt him there, in that silence. That's why I took the oath to stand guard. Because when we take those 21 steps, every click of our heels is a promise, you are not forgotten." Rebecca's expression changed. The smirk faded from her face. Her hands tightened around her lap. Michael stepped back, his eyes glistening but steady. "So when someone laughs, mocks, or shouts during that ceremony, it's not just disrespectful. It breaks something sacred, something we've spent our lives protecting." The judge leaned forward, visibly moved. "Sergeant Hayes, thank you." Rebecca lowered her head, tears welling up in her eyes. For the first time, her arrogance melted into shame. When the judge gave her the chance to speak, her voice trembled. I didn't know. I thought it was just tradition, like a performance. I didn't understand what it meant." Michael nodded slowly. "Most people don't. That's why we stand, to remind them." The judge, visibly emotional, took off his glasses and sighed. "Ms. Lang, this court finds you guilty of disorderly conduct. However," he looked at Michael, then back at her. "Instead of jail time, you'll serve 200 hours of community service, at Arlington National Cemetery." Rebecca gasped. "Arlington." "Yes," the judge said firmly. "You'll work with the groundskeepers. You'll attend ceremonies. And you'll learn what that silence means." Michael gave a subtle nod, his eyes filled with quiet approval. Weeks passed. Rebecca reported to Arlington with hesitation, expecting cold stares and punishment. But instead, she found peace. She watched the guards march, step by step, turn by turn, hour after hour, and began to understand. One day, while sweeping near the tomb, she saw Michael again. He was on duty, his posture flawless, his gaze fixed ahead. When the crowd fell silent and the ceremony began, something in her heart shifted. As the guard's boots clicked against the stone, she realized the weight of what those steps meant: sacrifice, honor, memory. Tears filled her eyes, and for the first time, she stood completely still, silent, respectful, and deeply moved. Later, as she left her shift, she whispered to herself, "You are not forgotten." Months later, at the end of her service, she appeared once again before the judge, this time transformed. "Your Honor," she said softly, "thank you for sending me there. It changed everything I thought I knew about respect." The judge smiled. "I can see that." Rebecca turned toward Michael, who stood quietly in the back of the courtroom, no uniform this time, just a simple suit and that same quiet dignity. Their eyes met, and she mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." He nodded once, a gesture of forgiveness and understanding. The judge cleared his throat and said, "Sergeant Hayes, any words before we close?" Michael looked around the courtroom. "Only this, Your Honor, respect isn't something you demand. It's something you teach, by standing for what matters, even when no one else understands." The entire courtroom was silent. The judge leaned back in his chair, speechless, because no ruling, no words, could match the power of what had just been said. And in that moment, everyone understood, the silence wasn't empty. It was sacred.